Clutch Sports Talk. Let's go. Good morning. Happy Sunday morning to everyone out there. It's me, your boy, Ryan Flowers, a.k.a. Clutch Sports Talk, and welcome to another edition of NFL Sunday Wake Up With Me. What a wild Saturday evening it was last night in Arlington. I'll have to break that down. But it's New Year's Eve. This is the last show of the year, I guess, officially, right? So I got to make it a good one. So we're going to be talking about the game last night between the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions. A wild finish. People are waking up still not understanding what really went down. I'll try my best to break it down and explain to you what actually happened and what people thought actually happened. So we'll talk about that. Then I got to talk about the Cleveland Browns and Joe Flacco. Is this for real? Are the Browns actually have a chance still to claim the number one spot in the AFC? Who would have thought? And then I got to talk about my boy Russell Wilson. Man, last ride for him. I'll give you my thoughts on what he should do next and how I feel about what the Broncos did to him. I'll deep dive in that. And of course, my power rankings for week 17. I'm going to preview all the games for today for week 17 as well. And then we're going to close out the show with my clutch picks of the week. So, hey, sit back, relax. You're going to need it, man. You're going to need it because that whole Dallas Cowboys, Detroit Lions thing, it's still got people up in arms. So we'll talk about that. But anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is Clutch Sports Talk, NFL Sunday Wake Up with me, Ryan Flowers. Let's go. Good morning once again. Happy Sunday to one and all. Happy New Year's Eve to everybody. Most of you probably still sleeping in because you got a big night if you got plans this evening. So make sure you rest up and make sure you're drinking water before you get boozed up this evening. But again, welcome into my show. This is the last NFL Sunday Wake Up for 2023. So we're gonna try to make it really fun in here. So make sure if you guys are watching right now, drop a comment already in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed to Clutch Sports Talk Podcast YouTube channel, make sure you do so now, and as well check out the Grid Network as well. Head over onto that YouTube channel there and subscribe to the rest of the other content creators on the Grid Network. So we already got some comments in the morning already here. We got Patrick Brown. Good morning, sir. He says, Happy New Year. Cardiac Cowboys giving us all anxiety to the very end. Yes. So, all right. So if you didn't watch the game, obviously the Cowboys pulled off a 20-19 victory at home last night, Saturday night in Arlington at Jerry's World. Now the game was tight. It was a tight game throughout. Both offense really couldn't get it in the end zone as much as they probably wanted to. Defenses actually did a pretty good job because at one point it was 10-10 late into the game. A couple touchdowns here, field goals here at the end, kind of opened things up quite a bit. But that's not the true story of the game. So we all know the Cowboys won. I think everyone understands that. Now, the final drive for the Lions, they were driving down. They were coming up to either tie the game or take the lead with the 2-point conversion. Now, the Cowboys, and I'll break this down too because this really pisses me off about the Cowboys. But anyway, the Lions come down. They get the touchdown. And I think in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? They're going to go for two because you're on the road. You're probably in a spot where they didn't think they were going to even get that opportunity to get the ball back to try to score and tie the game, yet alone get the score and then go for the win. So the minute they got the touchdown, I was like, they're going for two. And sure enough, they do. And technically they converted it. Now it was like a little trick play where they had the tackle number 68 Decker. This is where it gets really convoluted here, was where he checks into the ref. The ref, whatever, doesn't acknowledge it. For some reason he got, and then there was two guys on the line of scrimmage that were eligible receivers. Number 70, who we saw later on in the video, who comes in, but the ref doesn't really, Brad Allen, I believe his name is, doesn't really acknowledge him, or he gets confused somehow, runs off. He goes to the Dallas Cowboys defense and tells them, hey, such and such is eligible. Now he gets it mixed up. He says 70. Typically, and I've been to a lot of games before, they usually announce that over the PA system. The ref will say, hey, number 68 or 70 is eligible. It lets everyone in the building know who's eligible. That didn't happen. Okay. So they run the play. Decker ends up catching the pass to so it seemingly looks like it's the game-winning conversion, puts the Lions up 21-20. Now there's about 23, 24 seconds left in the game. I'm like, well, I'm pissed off at this point. I'm like, well, that's it. The Cowboys blew this one. Then I see some laundry on the field. And I'm thinking, well, what the hell happened? I said, there has to be some type of ineligible player down the field. And sure enough, that's what the call was there, ineligible receiver. And so everyone is like, what's going on here? Because the Lions players, they're incensed at this point. They're saying, you know what, dude, we did check in. We did check in. And then the video shows, because Troy Aikman and Joe Buck were breaking it down. Now, this is what happened, right? So you have three players. Number 58, I don't know who his name was. I don't know if that's Penei Sewell or not. I don't recall. 68, Decker, and then another lineman, 70, who walks in later. I think his name is Skipper, Stripper, whatever his name is. Post his name if you know his name, whatever. Number 70. Now, 58 and 68, they go to the ref, which you're supposed to do if you're going to be telling the ref that you're checking in as an eligible receiver. Now, it's weird because 58 stands in front of 68, right? Almost seemingly like he's trying to block the Cowboys from seeing who's the eligible receiver, or confused, which doesn't make sense to me because the ref is going to announce it anyway. So I don't understand. And then 70 comes in later. A Skipper, that's his name. Thanks, Bryson. 70 comes in moments later as Brad Allen is walking away. Now, this is the mistake on the ref. The ref should have just stayed put. I don't understand. There was no rush. It was an untimed down. It was a conversion. Let's make sure you get things right. But for whatever reason, Brad Allen was like, hey, man, I got to catch a flight out of here. I got shit to do, whatever. He hurries up, rushes back to the line of scrimmage, and I guess he proceeds to tell the Dallas Cowboys that 70 is the eligible receiver, and doesn't mention anything about 68 being the eligible receiver, who actually, in fact, Decker did check in, right? So he's thinking, I'm good to go. Who ends up catching the conversion? Well, Eric Decker does, right? So now the Lions are pissed. The Lions are pissed off, and then fast forward, we go to the press conference. Dan Campbell's like, look, I told the refs our trick play. I knew to a T. He told them. And then he was told that two offensive linemen cannot declare themselves eligible, which is false. You can do that. So, and then also let's go down to the pool report. So the pool report, for those who don't know, I guess I guess in the NBA, they only have like a report that at the end of the 2 minutes or the fourth quarter, they kind of go over what happened, whatever. So I'm going to read you guys verbatim what happened. So bear with me. All right. So if you didn't hear this last night, because they did read it on Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt. So the question was asked by pool reporter Calvin Watkins, who is a Dallas Cowboys beat writer, if I'm not mistaken. They interviewed Brad Allen, and the question was asked, why was there a penalty called on the 2-point conversion for an illegal touch? Brad Allen responds, says, so we had a situation where if you were going to have an ineligible number occupy an eligible position, you have to report that to the referee. Now, on a side note, you can only have certain numbers like wide receivers, tight ends. There's a reason why they were 80 or other numbers. You can't have a lineman number and then be eligible. So if you do, you have to check in. That's what that means. Okay. So on this particular play, number 70, who reported during the game a couple times, reported to me as eligible. That's not true, because it was actually 68. Then he lined up at the tackle position. So actually, he did not have to report at all. Number 68, who ended up he didn't. He said number 70, who had reported during the game a couple times, reported to me as eligible. Then he lined up at the tackle position. So actually, he didn't have to report at all. Number 68, who ended up going down the field and touching the pass, did not report. That's false. We saw that. Therefore, he is ineligible touching a pass that goes beyond the line, which makes it a foul. So the issue is number 70 did report, number 68 did not. We got videos showing that. Now, it was kind of weird how they did it because, again, 58 was kind of running a screen. 68 was probably saying something. Brad Allen probably was like, what? I don't know. And he just said that 70 had been checking in throughout the game as an eligible wide receiver. So he got confused, ran over to the Dallas Cowboys and said, hey, guys, this guy's eligible, which was true, but it was definitely a mistake on behalf of Brad Allen. So let's continue the question here. So Calvin Watkins asked, there was a player that went to you just before the play. It was Decker, who was actually number 68. And he was talking to you, two linemen talking to you, and then you went to the Cowboys defensive line to speak to them. What was that conversation about? Allen then acknowledged, the conversation is where number 70 reports to me, and I go to the defensive team, and I say to them, number 70 has reported as an eligible receiver. So they will be aware of who has reported, and then I return to my position. That was the conversation with the defensive line. So there you go. I don't think he realized he's admitting to his mistake, because we have films showing that 70 Skipper comes in way after the fact as Allen is leaving the two linemen for the Detroit Lions. Okay. Then the final question from Calvin Watkins, he says, we noticed there were two flags thrown on the same play. Was there another penalty called on the play as well? Allen responds, yes, because number 70 reported as eligible and he was covered up on the line of scrimmage. That makes it an illegal formation. So number 70 is an illegal position because he is covered up by rule, and number 68 catches the pass, which is also illegal. Okay. So before we get on the refs, they made a mistake. Brad Allen definitely effed up. He did, for sure. However, though, the second penalty is a valid one, because if you go back and look on the, if I look, I don't have the tape on me, Skipper is covered up on the line of scrimmage by a receiver, if I'm not mistaken. So you cannot have two. You can only have certain people on the line of scrimmage. They had way too many guys on the line of scrimmage. Okay, so there's the penalty in itself, right? You can't have him covered up like that if he's going to be an eligible receiver. So the first mistake was, well, let me break it all back down. This is what I think happened. Okay, and I'm not letting the refs off the hook because my Cowboys got the win, but this is a case of when you're trying to get too cute. If you go back and watch the tape, number 58, 68 Skipper, what's his name? Decker. They go up there, they're talking about Allen. They're trying to screen Decker. For some reason, they're trying to get really cute, trying to confuse the defense on like what's happening, who's doing what, who's going to be eligible. When, if you don't understand the rule, the ref is going to announce it anyway. So even if you check in, you can't hide the fact they're going to go up to you. Now, Allen didn't announce it on the PA, but in his mind, he said, well, you know what? I'm going to go to defense and tell them that such and such is an eligible receiver, which he did technically, but he did not rule 68 as eligible, who was the actual guy that checked in, because he got confused with other plays prior to the game, right? Then the Lions then said, okay, fine, whatever. Then that's y'all's mistake. That's not on us. But technically, the play was still doomed for gloom because they had Skipper covered up on the line of scrimmage. So there, in fact, is the actual penalty. Okay, so that's a legitimate penalty. So Lions fans, you can't really I get it. I would be pissed off too. Don't get me wrong. But as a rational person, I would go back and say, you know what? Here's a couple things. We didn't execute it, number one, correctly because we had 70 covered up. And on top of that, you get another shot at it. Instead of saying, you know what? Let's just kick the field goal and go in overtime. Nah, Dan Campbell doubles down and says, fuck it. We're going to go for it. Okay. Micah Parsons, in the very next play, offsides. You're thinking, okay, well, they get the yards back probably from the ineligible receiver penalty. Let's kick the field goal because this is a sign from the gods saying, you know what? Let's somebody's telling us something here. Let's get out of here, okay, and get the field goal and then take our chances in overtime. Okay. And then they still don't execute it after that. Jared Goff missed a wide open tight end. I think his name is Mitchell at the very bottom of the screen because I think it's Damone Clark, I believe the linebacker for the Cowboys. He got caught up looking into the backfield, and Mitchell, who is his assigned man, running like a speed out to the flat. Now, if Jared Goff puts that ball on the money, Lions probably win that game. Okay? So I get it. It's a gutsy call. You're trying to go for the win. But in that case, man, too many things are happening. Kick the field goal. See what happens. You're playing in Dallas. We all know the Dallas Cowboys have a history for making some type of blunder. And I was watching the Dallas Cowboy Can Fan guys who are also on the Grid Network. And they were like, yeah, this game's over. I was like, listen, man, I'm telling you. And I don't know if I jinxed us, but I said, listen, this is the Dallas Cowboys. I've been watching the Cowboys since 91, 92, since I was in the first or second grade. I've seen some of the most catastrophic plays or events in Cowboys history as a fan for over what? I don't do the math on that, right? 30 something years. Okay. And I called it. And the Lions run down the field, get the touchdown, and then they get the extra point. But luckily, the two penalties were called, but the Cowboys almost blew this game. Okay, so before we get all mad at the referees as well, the Lions had a part in that as well, too, because, listen, I get it. You were somewhat robbed, but you weren't robbed because you still had a penalty on the actual original conversion. It is what it is. Brad Allen, you messed up. Now, Brad Allen probably won't be asked to ref any playoff games because stuff like this, they'll go back and review. They'll say he made a mistake. For sure he did. So he won't be probably reffing any playoff games because they only take the guys that have the least amount of mistakes. And this was a big mistake because essentially what should have happened was, well, not really, because there was a penalty with number 70 being covered on the line of scrimmage. So, but who I blame the most, and now I'm going to talk about the Cowboys a little bit because I have to. Because here's the thing, and we're going to talk about this in my power rankings. You know, I'll save it for that. I'll save it for the power rankings for sure. But really, the Cowboys should have never been in that position last night. At least the defense. The defense played hands down, saved the game. Now I know Dak looked good. You know, he came down, got the game-winning drive. You know, I think Dak played fine. You know, I know he had the early interception. He bounced back. You know, it is what it is. The amount of times he's throwing, he's gonna throw picks, people. And I think every time he throws a pick, it's like, oh my God, like he sucks. Like, man, Dak is doing all he can do. The offense just really has no potency. It's Dak and CeeDee Lamb. That's it. Brandon Cooks will kind of occasionally fill in there. And Brandon Cooks had 2 really good weeks, you know, had the touchdown last week against the Dolphins. And then last night, pretty good game as well. But Michael Gallup, he's washed. Jalen Tolbert, I did not like that draft pick. We have no run game whatsoever. And I'll talk about that later on. But down to the wire, that's for sure. And Mike McCarthy, stupid play calling down the end. Stupid play calling down the end. And that's the big knock on him, is like game management. Why do you throw 3 passes in a row after you get basically a game clinching interception, right? You're thinking, oh, that's ball game. Most teams, it probably would be, not the Cowboys. And we get it on their side of the field. 3 plays, 3 and out, punt the ball, give them over a minute left. And they go down and score a touchdown. But anyway, we got some comments here. Bryson Carver from Carving Up, who just completed his New Year's end of the year show. Really good show at the end. Check him out tomorrow. He'll be back Monday. But he says, obviously a blunder by the officials, but I thought Campbell made a huge error in not kicking the extra point after the play got called back to the 7-yard line after the mistake. Just play for OT. Yeah, I agree, man. Like it was just too much going on, man. Like, and you were given an opportunity twice to kick that field goal. The penalty happened. We're all thinking, all right, whatever. They'll kick the field goal, and then they get a blessing from Micah Parsons, who I'm so sick of him anyway. He gets the offsides, and then they're like, all right, well, let's go back and go for it again. So don't blame the ref at that point. You guys had an opportunity to tie the game. You didn't. Adam Schefter, he says, Bryson says, Adam Schefter reported that Brad Allen's crew likely won't officiate any play. Yeah, they shouldn't. They blew that game. And then he says, Dak and CeeDee are literally dragging the offense down the stretch. Everything else is a massive question mark. Yeah, absolutely, man. I have a lot of questions about the Dallas Cowboys. As a fan, that's still my team. I roll with them. You know, I'll stick up for them. But, dude, this is not a Super Bowl caliber championship team. It's not. Just isn't. When your best player is probably the kicker and Dak and CeeDee. Okay? All right. Let's talk about another team that's winning, right? Who we thought were probably dead in the water after Deshaun Watson got hurt. And now there's a big question, too, in my mind, like, who will be the quarterback next year for the Cleveland Browns? So Joe Flacco, who literally was on his couch chilling, right, has come back and is got the Cleveland Browns, number one, they clinched the playoff berth, right? And they're in contention for the number 1 seed in the AFC, man. Like, they demolished the Jets so much that Joe Flacco was falling asleep during the game. And shout out to the Jets fans. I don't know how I feel for you guys, man. Like, you guys are in a tough situation. But anyway, now the question is, are the Browns for real? Now, we know this about the Browns. They, on paper, they've had probably one of the most talented rosters in the National Football League. Hands down. Defense, offense, they've always had it. The biggest question has been the quarterback position. So what do? They go out and get Deshaun Watson, right? Now he's done getting his massages. He's learned his lesson. So we think. He comes in, he's rusty. Now he's hurt. He's done for the year. They had some other guys going there, like what's the kid's name? DTR. He played a couple games. What's the other kid? He was in the XFL. I forgot his name too. PJ Walker. And then now they've kind of settled with Joe Flacco, who's actually balling out right now. If I had to vote for comeback player of the year, and I don't want to sound like a dick, because DeMar Hamlin actually he came back, right? Because he was dead. I get it. But if we were talking about guys that have like come back and played meaningful reps in the National Football League, it's got to go to Joe Flacco. But I get it, politics, they're going to give it to Mar Hamlin. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. The Browns are running the football. And mind you, Nick Chubb is not even in the lineup as well. So they're missing Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb. Okay. And they're still playing really solid football. Why? Because Joe Flacco he's a beast. Joe Flacco, I'm telling you right now, if I'm any team in the AFC, I do not want to see the Cleveland Browns right now. Joe Flacco is looking like Joe Flacco from the year they won the Super Bowl. He is on point. He is on point. Now, I know the Ravens, you guys will see my power rankings. I'll give you a preview. They're number one, right? They deserve to be number one. But I'm telling you, the Ravens, to me, something is not right about them at the end of the day. And I know we all live in the moment and people are going to hate on me. It is what it is. They're a good team. Lamar Jackson's playing really good too as well. I'm not even knocking him. And I did before in the beginning of the year. He's living up to the contract, but I don't care right now. I said it. What's going to happen in the playoffs? I do not want to see the Cleveland Browns in the playoffs. I don't. Joe Flacco is playing like a man who's dipped his toe back in the fountain of youth, and he's gone back. I don't know. Maybe he looked up with Marty McFly and Doc, and they got back in the DeLorean, and now he's playing at an MVP level, right, from when he won the Super Bowl. So the Browns, to me, are not a team that you want to deal with at this point. You just don't, man. You just don't. Now, I get it. They beat the Jets. Everyone's whooping on the Jets. I understand that. But geez Louise, you don't want to see the Cleveland Browns. And I'm telling you, the AFC is all it's up in the air, man. You got the Ravens, you got the Browns, you got the Dolphins. The Bills are trending in the right direction. The Chiefs, they're kind of on their downturn. But I'm telling you, man, that team, the Cleveland Browns, and they're 11-5, like a sneaky 11-5. I didn't even realize that when I heard it on the simulcast the other night. I was like, wait a minute. These fools won 11 games just like that. So, Cleveland Browns fans, I'm not saying this is your year, but you guys actually have a legitimate team with a veteran quarterback who's going to protect the football and put you guys in the right situation. So, shout out to them. All right, so that's enough Cleveland Brown talk for today, because they'll probably screw it up anyway today. Hopefully they don't. I'm kind of pulling for them. Who do they got today? Who do the Browns play today? Oh, no, they played it right now. I'm tripping. They played the Jets. I'm tripping. They played Thursday night. All right. Russell Wilson in the news. Well, actually, let's get to some comments real quick before I move on here. Bryson, he says, Dak and CD, we would look at that one. Patrick says, CD broke Michael Irvin's record. Jimmy Johnson going to the Ring of Honor, and a lackadaisical offense performance, to say at least, by Dallas. Unimpressive win of the season. Yeah, I would say, that offense really, although, they did just enough to get the win. The fumble on the goal line is, and I'll talk about this with the Cowboys. The fumble at the goal line, not closing out the game when you get that interception. Who was that? Was it Donovan Wilson, I believe it was, who got the interception at the end of the game? That should have been lights out, game over. You run the football, you run the clock down. That the Lions don't even have a chance to go down and score a touchdown, but they don't. It is what it is. JETS, just end the season. I think that's what they're saying in New York with the Jets. Just end the damn season. I don't think it's going to get much better for them, honestly, man. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be that dude for them. And then Browns defense has been historically great as well. Yes, their defense is playing really well. They got some studs on that defense. Myles Garrett. I think they got Clowney on the other end too. They got a good secondary. But the Browns are a sleeper team. Really, they shouldn't be a sleeper team because they're 11-5. Shit, you can't be 11-5 and be a sleeper team. You're a good team at that point. So it is what it is. All right, Russell Wilson benched for the last remaining games of the season. Now, it came out that he was approached by the Broncos organization a couple weeks ago and saying, "Hey, man, listen, we fucked up, right? And we need you to take a pay cut. If not, you're gonna be benched." And he was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. I'm on my money, right? Give me my money. That's what Chuck Berry said every night before he played. Give me my money. in cash, right? Chuck Berry, old school musician. Anyway, but it's kind of messed up, man, because I get it, man. Russell Wilson is a little cringy. I understand that, and he hasn't been Russell Wilson, the Russell Wilson that we know for quite some time. Now he goes to Denver thinking, fresh new start. They got some talent. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Judy. They got some guys over there in Denver, right? New coach Nathaniel Hackett, we find out he can't even coach his way out of a paper bag. Okay, so he's a joke, right? So they get Sean Payton. You're like, okay, all right, Sean Payton, all right. Former Super Bowl MVP, or excuse me, Super Bowl winning coach, right? Multiple successful seasons with New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees. Maybe he can kind of resurrect Russell Wilson, and no, it did not start well for them. Now, in regards to their treatment of Russell Wilson, I think it's kind of messed up, man. Like, this guy's a model citizen, right? I think he was told to not be so political or be like a politician, like stop kissing babies and whatnot. And it's funny because your head coach, Drew Brees, and Drew Brees was, excuse me, Drew Brees was literally what Russell Wilson is today. Big part, member of the community, yada yada yada. And now that I think about it, man, I think Sean Payton really, he's past his prime too as a coach, man. I don't think he's got it either. Um, Even if he had went to the Chargers, I think it would have been the same thing for him. Honestly, is Russell Wilson that bad? I get it. He's not the same, but the way they treated this man, like, I get it. You guys screwed up and gave him the deal. You guys traded for him, right? Then you put him with Nathaniel Hackett, who sucks as a head coach, right? Not that good as a coordinator either, as we find out. Okay, I get it. Then you replace him with Sean Payton, and really this boils down to money. That's the whole thing, because I think the Broncos are looking at it from the perspective of the Rams. Now, the Rams, they traded Jared Goff to Detroit Lions, right? And I think they did it for financial reasons. They looked at it, and because here's the thing with Russell Wilson's contract, why they pulled him. Number one, he's guaranteed like 30-something million next year. Okay. So they're willing to eat that because he's done. He's done in Denver. And they benched him essentially, and I'm surprised that they didn't bench him earlier because they were winning those games. But now, they've lost a few here last couple weeks. Now they're like, you know what, this probably ain't gonna work out. So let's not, because he's got a clause in his contract. If he gets hurt and he cannot pass a physical by March 2024. So let's just say for whatever reason he's starting still, blows out a knee, won't be able to pass a physical next March. He's guaranteed like $35-37 million on top of whatever he was guaranteed anyway. So you're looking at $60+ million. And the Broncos are like, you know what? Let's just cut our losses. Let's cut this guy. Let's find. And you're not going to trade for him. No one's going to trade for this guy. So you're going to end up cutting and eating his salary. But is this the way you treat a guy like Russell Wilson, right? Super Bowl MVP. Did he win this? No, he won a Super Bowl. I don't know if he won the Super Bowl MVP. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments. But he's been a model figure. He gets clowned a lot. I get it. He's very cringy with the Broncos country. Let's ride, right? Very corny, kind of cornball kind of dude. But geez, man, you guys made the investment in him. Now he hasn't lived up to that, of course, right? But the Broncos were trying to do what they did a couple years ago when they got Peyton Manning. They saw a older veteran, probably with a little bit left in the tank. They said, you know what, we can catch lightning in a bottle just once or twice. That'll be good for us. Maybe we can get to a Super Bowl, because they felt like their roster was ready to go. But the way they've handled it, the way Sean Payton has been like ridiculing him on the sideline, like, this is not a rookie quarterback. This is Russell Wilson. This guy's played in 2 Super Bowls, should have won 2 of them, right? Been in the MVP talks for a majority of his career, right? And you berate him like he's a high school football. I don't appreciate that for Russell Wilson, because again, I think I don't know him personally, and there's reports about him not being such a great teammate, yada yada yada. But what I will say, he's professional, man. The guy shows up, does the job to the best of his ability. Now, if you don't like the way he's playing, then you know what? You have a conversation with him behind closed doors, and you let it be. But the way Sean Payton was going at this man like he was like a rookie quarterback, That's hella weak, bro. And for me, Sean Payton, you lost a lot of respect for me because that's not how you go about treating a guy like that. All right. A guy who's been a model citizen in the National Football League. So now, what does it mean for Russell Wilson moving on? To me personally, man, take your money and retire, man. Get out of it. Because what are his options, right? I know the Steelers just came up yesterday. I was reading an article. Does he want to go there? Is Russell Wilson even that good anymore? Me personally, I don't think he's that good anymore. I think his time is past, and I hate for him to kind of be bouncing from team to team to team, trying to find something. And if you go to the Steelers with their current offensive scheme, it don't even make any sense, man. It really don't. And someone said the Raiders. I'm like, same thing. I mean, and I like what Antonio Pierce is doing, but he's a defensive guy. Like Russell Wilson needs to go somewhere where someone's going to nurture him and bring him on and kind of reprogram him. And I don't think that's going to happen there with a rookie head coach. Although I like what Antonio Pierce is doing for the Raiders, I think the Raiders should just hire him anyway to keep things stable for a little bit there. But where else can he go, man? I honestly, like, there's not that many options. Most teams are going to be looking for younger quarterbacks, especially in this upcoming draft. They're not going to waste their roster spot on a guy that's pretty much washed up. And I get it. I was talking to my cousin. He was like, he understands legacy and all that, but he just got to go out there and prove people wrong. Honestly, I don't think Russell Wilson has anything to prove to anybody at this point. He's won a Super Bowl. He was the guy in Seattle for many, many, many years. His time is past. His time is past. And I don't want to see him bouncing around from team to team to team, because if he's getting treated like the way he's being treated by Sean Payton, the other coach is probably going to treat him the same way, man. And it's sad for him because he was such a talent, you know, fourth round draft pick, I believe he was, out of Wisconsin, beat out Matt Flynn, and the rest is history. The rest is history. So if I'm him, just get out, man. You got a beautiful wife. I think he's expecting again. You got money. You don't need the National Football League anymore. You go into a broadcaster. He's got the look for that. Do something else, man. But to be berated by guys like Sean Payton, who really isn't a model citizen himself, right? Hey, what's up, Anthony? Uh, you know, it really, it's not a good look for him. And is his legacy tarnished? When I look back, will I remember the last couple years of his career? Yeah, I will. But you know what, man? I think Russell Wilson has had way more successful seasons than the last 3-4 seasons, or 3 seasons, I would say. You know, in his last couple years. So Russell Wilson, man, if you're listening, man, I know you're not, but if you ever get a chance to hear this, just retire, bro. Just hang him up, man. I don't want to see you go out like that, especially if you're not going to a team that's going to be contending. Steelers are not contending anytime soon. The Raiders are not contending anytime soon. And any other contending team, they actually have a quarterback. The only team I would say maybe Minnesota, because I like their head coach. He's an offensive-minded guy. Because I'm a big proprietor of offensive-minded coaches. I do not like defensive-minded coaches being the head coach. It does not work out. The only reason why Belichick won so many Super Bowls, because of the quarterback. Look what he's done right now the last couple of years, that he has not had a quarterback. So historically, defensive-minded head coaches, they just don't get the job done enough. They can't nurture quarterbacks. They don't have the capacity to call or be brilliant on the offensive side of things, unless you hire someone that's brilliant. And then typically those guys get plucked and go somewhere else. But Russell Wilson, man, make this your last ride. Go back to Seattle. That's your home, bro. And retire as a Seahawk and move on with your life and count your money, because the Broncos owe you some cash. For sure. All right. Whew. Let's talk about some power rankings. Now, I know some games have been played, but nonetheless, let's take a look. So these are my week 17 power rankings. Baltimore Ravens coming in at number 1. Look, Lamar Jackson looked good. Now, I was hoping Dak would have played lights out last night and try to get himself back into the MVP race. Didn't really happen. So there was an opportunity too, because Brock Purdy sucked balls last week Monday. So Lamar Jackson probably is the front runner. I think Tyreek has probably taken a notch down just because he hasn't had that big game yet, and especially with one game remaining. Brock maybe has a chance this weekend. to kind of get back in the fold here. They're playing the Commanders. Dak too, but then Dak plays the Commanders next week. Lamar's got a big game today. If Lamar comes out and balls out again, it's his. It's his. And I hate to say it because I didn't think he would be in that position, but I'm a man, man. I'll be the first to admit I was wrong. So, if he balls out, then the award is his because he snuck up on everybody secretly, not secretly, but like very very quietly. And then he's kind of reclaiming that, especially beating the Niners the way they did, and man, that kind of just catapulted him into that number one spot. So I got the Ravens coming in at number one. San Francisco 49ers, minor setback, I guess, for them. They basically just got out physical. The Ravens came into Levi Stadium and said, you know what? We're not scared of you guys. We're going to hit you in the mouth and we're going to get to your quarterback. And that's exactly what they did. And Brock Purdy looked like Mr. Irrelevant last week. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy sucks because he doesn't. He's a good, solid quarterback. Okay. And I don't want to hear this. Oh, well, Cam Newton was right. Well, for 1 week, this is what I've learned, man. In my last couple of years of covering the NFL the way I do now, it's so up and down, man. Consistently, Brock Purdy has been a really good quarterback, man. Like the last 2 seasons, he's been really good. So I'm not gonna say he's a game manager quite yet. He is in some aspects, but the guy is good. Now he hasn't had a long enough career yet, like Cam. Cam has had a good career, a long career. Now I compare Dak to Cam more so because they got more numbers, and Dak is a way better quarterback than Cam Newton was. Cam was more athletic, but that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, Dolphins at number 3. Coming off of that close win. Honestly, the Cowboys outplayed the Dolphins. The Cowboys just couldn't finish plays. And I'm going to talk about that here in the Cowboys. But the Dolphins, they still got that offense. Some injuries, though. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. Can the Dolphins finish the season strong? We're going to see how they play today, especially on the road in Baltimore in a tough environment. I know they got the win last year there in miraculous fashion. I think they came back down like 20-something points, winning that game. I think the Ravens will be on high alert. Buffalo Bills playing really good football, man. Running the ball, defense pretty good. Josh Allen playing solid football as well. So I got them at number 4. And I got the Cleveland Browns coming in at number 5, 11-5, a sneaky team. It's a very, very sneaky team here. Talent-wise, I think they got one of the best rosters in the league for sure. Joe Flacco is playing at a very high level, so watch out for them. And then I got number 6, the Dallas Cowboys. Coming off a win that they should have gave that. They were trying to give that game away. A couple problems with the Cowboys. And I'll speak to them because I would say I'm not an expert, but this is my team, obviously, so I should know a lot about them. Biggest concerns, offensive line. I said it in the beginning of the season, after the draft. They took Mozzie Smith, who's a bust. Okay, bust. And I know people, well, you're not watching football. He's eating up block. No, he was brought in to stop the run. He hasn't done that. And we're still getting gashed in the run. Even when Hankins does come back, we're still not that strong in the run game. Now, Hankins makes us better. Okay. Offensive line issues. Okay. We saw that rear its head last week. This week against the Detroit Lions, who are a good run defensive team, they really couldn't get anything going. I always say this to people, man. Football, literally, if you want to be a successful team, right? It doesn't matter who you got lined up on the outside, who's your running back. It matters in these 2 areas: your offensive line and defensive line. Can you protect and run the football? Or can you protect your quarterback and run the football? And can you get after the other team's quarterback? And really, the Cowboys cannot. In cases, sometimes they haven't really protected Dak, right? Dak, I think, has protected himself by making the right calls at the line of scrimmage. And then running the football, Tony Pollard, I honestly, I was a fan of him, but he's not worth even the franchise money that he's getting, but the $10 million this year or something like that. It's either he needs to take a pay cut and he'll stay with us, and then we bring on another back, or he's just got to go and we go get somebody in the draft or a free agent, something like that. Because Tony Pollard is not the guy. He's not the dude. Okay. Defensively, Michael Parsons, shut the hell up and just play. Oh, I'm being held. Well, yeah, you're gonna get held. You're an amazing talent. Okay. But shut up. Because all this crying, listen, and I get it, this shouldn't happen. But people are petty, man. Refs hear this stuff, they're like, oh, he's calling us out for not getting calls. Guess what? We're still not making those damn calls. Just shut up and play. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if TJ Watt complains, if Aaron Donald complains, Miles Garrett complains. I don't know. I don't know if they have podcasts, but this guy does. And he's starting to get really annoying for me. I'm an old school kind of guy, man. Like just let your play do the talking. Okay. If you're gonna have a podcast, whatever, right? But these guys that have podcasts that are current players, it's kind of cringy sometimes because he's talking about other teams, and I get it. That's part of your show. But who was it? Gronka made a good point. He's like, losers talk about winners, and winners just focus on winning. And right now, Micah Parsons sounds like a loser. He's worried about everybody else instead of what's happening with him and his play, right? And last night, he helped almost give away that game too. Now, he had some good moments in the game, right? Couple tackle for losses, right? But then giving them the offsides penalty on the 2-point conversion, giving the Detroit Lions another chance. Like, come on, man. Come on, lock in, bro. Right? But the Cowboys are a flawed team. Then your head coach, and I get it. He's probably like, I have no confidence in the running game. So I'm just going to throw 3 times. I'm going to put the ball in Dak's hands and see what happens. 3 and out, boom. Lions go back, get the touchdown, almost win that game. What should have happened really was you get that interception with a minute something left, right? You run the football, you force them to burn their timeouts, you get a first down or 2, you end the game, and we're not even talking about the blunder at the end. That's how it should go. That's how most teams operate, but not the Cowboys. Okay. Detroit Lions, I think for the most part, like they put their defense really stepped up for sure, especially because the Cowboys are good at home on offense, right? Their defense stepped up for sure. I still like this team. I don't know if they're quite ready yet to make that next jump. They're still on that. They're on that second tier of teams, kind of like with the Cowboys. The Niners to me, Ravens. Those are the top tier type teams. Those teams, they've proven to me that they can win tough games. Right? The Lions and Cowboys, even Dolphins too. Like they haven't proven to me that they can win those tough games, especially on the road. Okay, but this is a fun team. They got some talent there. They got to figure out though. Who's eligible, who's not eligible, right? Philadelphia coming in at number 8. Listen, this team is not the same from last year. And I don't know if Nick Sirianni needs to take over the play calling for offense because they're missing a chromosome there. Their defense can be had, right? If they're playing a top level offense, they're gonna get had for sure. For sure. So for me, it always starts on defense. They don't have it there quite this year. And that's where they are at this point. So, and Jalen Hurts not playing, he's playing okay, but not like at the level he was last year for sure. Kansas City, I don't know, man. Like they have no offense, like none, bro. Like I don't even understand what's going on with them. But they're going to be playing a playoff road game for sure this year, and I think they're going to be one and done and bounced. And then Jacksonville, rounding out number 10. Trevor Lawrence, good player. He's out today, but I just there's something about him. I just can't put my finger on it. Good team, very solid team, but they're in that second tier, not quite ready for the big time yet, right? So, but there you have it. Those are my Week 17 power rankings, and obviously it'll change next week for sure. All right, let's take a look at some of the previews for today's games here. So we'll start off with one of my first clutch picks of the week. We got the Saints on the road taking on Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Listen, Buccaneers with the win tonight, I think they lock it up. I think they're going to be in the playoffs for sure. They're playing really good. Shout out to Baker Mayfield, man. Like he's doing a good job. And the Saints, who I really didn't think much of them anyway going into the season. Your head coach he's a lame duck coach. They took Derek Carr, who I thought would have been a little bit better, but he is what he is, man. Like he's not. For some reason, I think people think that Derek Carr is like a young quarterback. He's not, man. He is who he is. He's not getting any better. That's what you got. So we'll see. But I picked the Bucs to win that game. They should win that game because they have more on the line, and I think the Saints are kind of just trending in a downward turn. But it is a divisional game. I think it'll be close, but I like Tampa Bay to win that game. All right, well, let's take a look at the Falcons and Bears, another clutch pick of the week. Falcons, they're still trying to contend for the NFC South. The Bears and Justin Fields. Well, Justin Fields is auditioning right now for the National Football League. The Bears actually quietly been playing decent football, man. So I'm gonna rock with the Bears because the Falcons, to me, Arthur Smith is an idiot. I don't know. You want to talk about a guy who also needs to be fired as well. You have a really good. He has really good players, but for whatever reason, he don't like getting them the ball. He just don't. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm gonna take my chances with the Bears today at home in the Windy City. All right, Steelers and Seattle. This was an interesting one because you don't know what Steeler team is going to show up. Like they always have the potential. They do, right? But you're going to the Northwest. Everyone knows if you've ever been up there, it's weird things going on up there. It's a tough place to travel to. That stadium's going to be rocking. They're still trying to make the playoffs. They're in the hunt. Both teams are. This game is going to have a very playoff like atmosphere, I would say. So I think I'm going to go with Seahawks because I feel like offensively they're a little bit more proven. Because Pittsburgh typically, I know they had a great last game, but that's not their typical. So I'm going to go with Seattle with Geno Smith to get things going there and get that win and stay in the hunt for the wild card. All right, Cincinnati on the road to Kansas City. Rematch of last year's AFC Conference Championship game. Obviously, no Joe Burrow. That's disappointing. Kansas City coming off of a terrible loss to the Raiders. And a game where, like, literally their defense did their thing, but the offense gave away 2 touchdowns, right, to the Raiders. This is probably an upset pick. I'm going to go with the Bengals to win this game, man. I think I don't know, man. I just think the Chiefs, obviously, they're just lacking offensively, man. They just no wide receiver help. Travis Kelce's a shell of himself, just like that, man. He don't even look the same. Patrick Mahomes is not looking that good either. And I keep saying every week, well, I can't go against them. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I don't know, man. I think this is a sleeper upset pick of the week. I'm going with the Bengals in this one. So, it'll be a close game, but I think the Bengals, after they ass whooped last week, I think they'll be ready to roll. But I like the Bengals. All right, Carolina in Jacksonville. Carolina showing some promise. Bryce Young looking kind of like a starting quarterback in the National Football League. But on the road, Jacksonville still kind of in the hunt there. I know I think they're going to try to win this division outright and move on. But I like Jacksonville at the end of the day. Even though they got a backup quarterback. I don't know who's their backup quarterback. Bryce Young to me is still kind of learning. They don't have enough talent there. So I like Jacksonville in this one. All right, Raiders on the road in Indianapolis. I like the Colts in this one. Although the Raiders have been playing hard and tough, the Colts are definitely vying for a wild card. So I'm going to go with the Colts to win that game over the Raiders. And hopefully, like I said in my clutch pick of the week promo the other day, they should not give up 2 back-to-back touchdowns to the to the defense of the Raiders. So I like the Colts. And then the Chargers and the Broncos. This Chargers, they've quit a long time ago. The Broncos, they got a new quarterback. Jason Stidham's going to be taking the helm. They're at home. I think they're going to get the win easily over the Chargers. The Chargers just flat out quit. Brandon Staley's out the building. Good for them. That's good. They got rid of that clown. But I like the Broncos. And then Green Bay, Minnesota. Minnesota starting a rookie, Darren Hall. Is that his name? Darren Hall, the quarterback out of BYU. This is going to be an interesting game. I like, for some reason, I'm kind of debating on this one. I'm going to go with Green Bay. Because it's a veteran team right now. Jordan Love is playing decent for the most part. Rookie or first time starting quarterback in Hall might be a little bit too much for him. But I think he's got potential though. I'm watching him play a lot at BYU. I think he's got potential, but this is a tough spot for him to be in. But I'm gonna go with the more veteran team there in the Green Bay. But no Jair Alexander, I believe. I think he got benched this game for conduct detrimental to the team. So we'll see how that works out for them. All right. Week 17 could continue on. We got the big game of the day. Excuse me. Dolphins and Ravens. I don't know, man. I'm going to go with the Ravens because The Dolphins really just don't. Although they've beaten the Cowboys, they beat another. Matter of fact, that was their first team that they've beaten with a record over 500. Can they do it back-to-back weeks? I don't think so. I like the Ravens to win this game. Although I think it might be a shootout, though, like it was last year, but I like the Ravens. Then Tennessee on the road in Houston. I think CJ Stroud is back in the lineup. Nico Collins, I think, is back in the lineup. I'm going to go with the Texans. Assuming Stroud and Nico Collins is back, I'm gonna make the pick, but I'm gonna go with the Texans to win that game. New England on the road in Buffalo. To me, this is a no-brainer. Buffalo, not much to say about that game. Rams and New York. I like the Rams. Rams are another scary team coming out of the NFC that you may not want to see. I think they figured out some couple things here. Stafford is playing really, really good football right now. Puka Nacua, excellent. Hands down, probably the rookie of the year, in my estimation. Or at least offensive rookie of the year. He's looking really good. So I like the Rams to get that win. 49ers on the road in Washington. The Washington Commanders, they suck. I think Jacoby Brissett is now the quarterback there. They kept trying to pump up Sam Howell. Like, he sucks, man. Sam Howell's he's not that good. Oh, he's leading the league in yards. Yeah, because you guys are down 50 points. He's got to throw. So to me, that yard stat, it can be used depending on the context. Okay. But I like the Niners to bounce back and get that win on the road. And then the Arizona Cardinals at Philly. Philly should win this game. I think they'll pull it out in the end. I think it'll be closer because Arizona's been playing tough. For whatever reason, I don't know why. But they've been hanging in these games. But I think in the end, Philadelphia will find a way to squeak out the win and get that. So let's take a look at a couple comments here before we get up out of here, man. But those are my picks of the week. Actually, I'm tripping. Let's go to the picks of the week, which I didn't load. I hate when I do that. I think it's StreamYards because I swear I be loading this stuff up and it just doesn't take. But here, let's just do a real recap of the clutch picks of the week, and then we'll wrap up the show and get up out of here. All right, so the clutch picks of the week. Tampa Bay, got them over winning today. Chicago over Atlanta. Colts over the Raiders, and I got the Rams over the Giants. I had a good week last week, 3-1. So, and that's picking my Cowboys to lose. So, I represent the star, but I'm actually trying to be objective. But it is what it is. So, man, if I could just, I've been at 500 the whole year, man. Like 2 weeks I'll go 3-1, and then another week I'll go 1-3 or 0-4. It's like, this stuff is tough, man. So, people that be hating, I told them, like, I had my little service announcement last week. Like, this is not hard. I mean, this is not easy. So, you come up here and make your picks. If not, shut the hell up. But we'll see. Hopefully, I can keep a good winning streak today and keep things flowing. So, all right, let's take a look at some comments before we roll up out of here. Anthony Estrada, he joined earlier. What's up, my brother? Hope you're doing all right, man. Happy New Year to you and yours. Patrick says, and this is we were talking about Cam Newton in the beginning of this segment. Cam had 2015 as his best season with the MVP and Super Bowl appearance. His attitude, behavior tainted the rest of his prime. He didn't evolve. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. When Cam was good, he was good. He was good. Okay. And I don't want to hear this notion he didn't have talent around him. He did. He had Greg Olsen. Arguably, he could be in the Hall of Fame, right? Steve Smith, probably going to be a Hall of Famer at some point. He had Christian McCaffrey at some point, and he had D'Angelo Williams. People forget he had D'Angelo Williams was a stud, man. So don't tell me he didn't have any talent, because he did have talent. All right. Mozzie's pick, still the greatest moment in grid history thus far. The overall reaction from you, Barry, and Michael is priceless. We should have taken Michael Mayer. Yeah. Or an offensive lineman. I would have been better taking off, because I like the tight ends for them. I like Ferguson. I think he's okay, right? But I would have much rather taken off offensive lineman. Because here's the thing. Tyron Smith, although when he's in, he's effective. But he's not going to play the full season anymore. He's just not. We have to make preparations to replace this guy. Can he still play the game? Absolutely. But he's not going to. He'll probably play 6-7 games a year. And that's just being nice. So we got to replace him. Terrence Steele, Yeah, the magic kind of wore off on him a little bit this year. He really did not have a good season, especially coming off of that leg injury. So, let's see here. Anthony says, "Derek garbage. I'm so glad my team got rid of that trash." He had a tough situation in Las Vegas, man. Listen, the ownership sucks there, unfortunately. Um, he was the reason. He was the only the stabilizing force in that franchise, Derek Carr. And I think Raider fans, I think they get on him a lot. But the guy had like a new coordinator every other year. You had a head coach, and he, and Gruden, who was the coach before that? I mean, it was a nightmare, man. And maybe they've got it right now. I don't know, but the Raiders organization overall, with their ownership is just. It's sad because that fan base is very proud, and I live in this city where they play, and you can see how proud they are of their team. But I don't think they're like me. Unless the ownership somehow steps aside and lets real football people come in, they'll never win anything, and that's including my team as well. So I know that. I know that for a fact. So not even trying to hate on the Raiders. We're in the same boat. We're in the same boat. Patrick says Tampa Bay can clinch the NFC South with a win today over New Orleans. They'd be locked into the 4th seed, right? So, yeah, so they have a lot to play for. Patrick says he'll take the Bengals like me on the road. Upset. Chiefs have no receivers. It's Mahomes and Kelsey or bust. Anthony says, dude, I've said Kelsey had such a terrible season before it was commercials in football. No, it's commercials, girls football. Sorry, but can't do. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on in his life, man, especially with the whole Taylor Swift thing. And she might be a nice young lady, but that's becoming a little bit. And I'm not saying that's the reason why he's sucking, but I don't know, man. He's not the same guy for sure. For sure. Jaren Hall, not Darren Hall. Jaren Hall is the Viking starter for tonight's game. We should have got Baltimore versus Miami for yeah. That's weird. I don't know why they didn't flex that. That would have been more of a better primetime game than Green Bay and Minnesota. Like, I don't understand that NFL, especially because they have it in the rules. Like, you can flex that game. Patrick says, CJ will play today with Nico. They're still in the hunt for a division title as well. Wild card is still up. Yep. So a lot to play for there for the Texans. Speaks for yourself. The owner isn't the best either. Jerry's world hot. I did say that. I'm agreeing with you. I think ownership is not that good for both franchises. The only difference between us and the Raiders is that we're worth more. That's it. Because Jerry is he's the ultimate marketer, right? We can suck and you people will still talk about the Dallas Cowboys and still buy memorabilia, merchandise. It's the reason why they're the most valued franchise in all of sports today. And that's including soccer. And soccer is the number one sport in the world. And the Cowboys are still up there. So we're in, trust me, Anthony, we're in the same boat, man. We have ownerships that, and Mark Davis, who doesn't know what he's doing really. He says he has guys that advise him, but he don't. And the guys that he takes advice from, they're not any better. And Jerry, well, we see what Jerry does. He likes his guys. Right? Should they have gone out and tried to trade for Derrick Henry? Absolutely. You see that now. We need a run game, right? Frank Clark is out there, just released by was Seattle? Seattle, is that right? Seattle or the Chiefs? I forgot which one. Is anybody? Are we going to try to go after him? Probably not. Should we? I think we should. No, we need another pass rusher, another edge guy. I love D-Law, but he's not the edge rusher he once was. He's better in the run game now. So, and when you're playing in the playoffs, you're going to be going against the top quarterbacks in the league. You got to get after them. So, yeah. But again, to his comment, he says, "Speak for yourself. Your owner isn't the best either." He is and he isn't. He's good at making money and being profitable because the Raiders, honestly, they're one of the poorer teams in the National Football League. That's just a fact. Mark Davis, for a billionaire, and I'm not saying he's poor, but in comparison to other owners in the National Football League, the Raiders are one of the poorer teams. They just are. Cowboys are number one. So let that sink in for you. So, but I like Anthony. He's always coming in here. He likes to stir it up, but I appreciate him, man. But anyway, but yeah, that's all I got, man. Listen, Happy New Year to everybody. I'll be back next week for week 18. Be on the lookout for my clutch picks of the week on Wednesday or Thursday. But if you guys go out tonight, man, please stay safe, stay warm. If you're gonna drink responsibly. Just spend time with your family, man, and hang out and just be cool and chill out and have a good vibe, man. But other than that, that's all I got. Great show today. Hope you guys were tapped in. Appreciate all you guys that were in the comment section. Patrick, Bryson, Anthony. If you weren't in the comment section, that's fine. But if you watched, appreciate you guys for stopping by. But that's all I got, man. Until next time, this is Clutch Sports Talk, NFL Sunday Wake Up with me, your boy Ryan Flowers. Never settle till the work is done. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.